Hello everybody and welcome back. It feels like it's been forever since I made a video, so I decided I'd come on here and put one together for you guys. I just recently completed a collection that I've been working on, and so I thought I'd make a video on what I've been working on here, and that is the Bob Dylan Bootleg Series collection. So I'm going to go through all these CDs with you and let you know what's all included in this series. So let's cut over and we'll take a closer look at each of these different releases. Alright, so the Bob Dylan Bootleg Series, this series started out in 1991, in March of 1991, and the first release here we have is actually 3 volumes. It's Bob Dylan volumes 1 through 3, Rare and Unreleased, and now this is 1961 to 1991. This set was released in 1991, and it includes tracks from, like the title says, 1961 to 1991, and it's on 3 CDs, and this was released on this 3 CD set, and there was a 5 LP set that you could get of this as well, and then also a 3 cassette version of it. So this is the case here, and all 3 of the CDs basically look the same. And like this version comes with this nice slip case and also a booklet with, that's one nice thing about these sets, is they come with these books that got lots of pictures and information about the different tracks. So as I go through this video, I'll kind of just quickly flip through some of these things, get you a glimpse of some of the pictures and text that's involved here. Now, I believe originally this was also on in a kind of a longer, like a long box type box set, and then later in, I think, 1997 it was released, it was remastered and then released again. Here I have the 1991 version. As far as I know, that's one of the original sets. And going through the Bob Dylan Bootleg series, I'm a fan of Bob Dylan, and I like a lot of his music. But these, you know, as we get later in the series, there's some of these that come out on the 2 CD sets, or else you can get these humongous deluxe edition box sets. And as much of a fan I am of Bob Dylan, there's just so much of each song I can handle, I guess. So I kind of just stuck with the 2 CD sets for most of these. Now, that was volume 1 through 3, and that was in March of 91, as I said. So then in October of 1998, we got volume 4. This is Bob Dylan Live 1966, and this is it's titled the Royal Albert Hall Concert, and as you can see, it's in quotation marks. For many years, this was believed to be a performance from the Royal Albert Hall. Oops, excuse me there. And when in fact it was actually a performance from the Manchester Free Trade Hall. And this is the concert where you got the first disc is his acoustic set, and then the second disc is where he does his electric set, and around between tracks 7 and 8 you got the audience yelling Judas, and they're not too huge of fans of the electric Bob Dylan. But yeah, this is originally thought to be a Royal Albert Hall, but in fact it was not. And this is a 2 CD set, as most of the rest of these will be. There's disc 1, kind of a Columbia record label there. So when you get the big booklet like this, they don't really give you too much for the little booklet here. It's just usually just a picture inside there. So we'll just flip through this book quickly here and let you see that. Yeah, so this was from his 1966 tour, and towards the end of this tour is when he got into his motorcycle accident and had to do some recuperating, and actually didn't tour again until 1974, so there's quite a long hiatus there between tours. But there was a lot of good albums in between that time as well, though, so it's not like he wasn't doing anything. So there we go, that's volume 4. Alright, next up in the Bootleg series is volume 5. This is Bob Dylan Live 1975, the Rolling Thunder Revue. And as I'm making this video, it's June of 2019. And just a couple weeks ago, there was released on Netflix a Martin Scorsese film based on the Rolling Thunder Revue, his tour, his 75 tour. I've watched that film. A lot of it is not factual in that it's more of a, I don't know what you'd call it. There's not a lot of factual stuff in there. There's some stuff that's true, but a lot of it's made up. So for a hardcore fan, they'll know what's true and what's not. But for a casual fan, they might not know what to believe in that documentary. But it's worth watching just for the concert footage alone. And then now, yes, along with that Martin Scorsese film, there was released a 14 CD set of all the Bob Dylan concert performances. I don't know if it's all of them, but it's definitely a good majority of the concerts that he performed. And like I said earlier, this 2 CD set, when they do these 2 CD sets like this, they kind of pick the best of the performances. And for me, that's really all I need of Bob Dylan. I mean, I love all the performances they picked on this collection here. The 14 CDs, well, it would be a nice collection or a nice set to add to the collection. It's just a lot of repeats of the same material, you know, if they perform the same tracks night after night. So there's some of the performers that were with him there. So yeah, that's why I like these 2 CD sets, and that's basically what I've been collecting is the smaller ones, because you get the best of the collection that way. Let's see, I didn't mention that was this collection here was released in November of 2002. Initially it featured a DVD along with this, but the DVD only had, I believe, 2 video performances of the song Isis and Tangled Up in Blue. So I don't know if it's really worth seeking out that DVD just for those 2 clips. Okay, so that was volume 5. Then we move on to, let's see, March 2004. So it's kind of been it gets to be around a year or 2 between each of these releases. Some of them a little bit longer, some shorter, but this is volume 6, Bob Dylan Live 1964, concert at Philharmonic Hall. This is in Manhattan, I believe. It's from October 31st. It's kind of labeled the Halloween concert. I'm going to show you the back there. And this is the CD itself. A kind of cracked case there, unfortunately. Yeah, some of these I've had for a while, so they've seen some wear. Kind of like that label that they used on the CD. This one, again, this CD was reissued in 2016 on a 5.1 surround SACD, 2 CDs. So if you're interested in that, you could maybe try and find that. I think the last 4 or 5 songs or so feature Joan Baez as well. He usually had her on tour with him every once in a while. She seems to come up. And Allen Ginsberg as well. So there's that, volume 6. And then next up, as earlier I talked about Martin Scorsese. He did the new Netflix documentary on the Rolling Thunder Revue. Volume 7 here, this is the soundtrack to the earlier Martin Scorsese film that he did, No Direction Home. It says this is the soundtrack to the film, but there's several songs on here that aren't actually featured in the film. And I believe there's a couple, I don't remember how many for sure, but there's a few songs that are duplicated from the volume 1 through 3 set. There's a couple songs that were repeated here. But for the most part, on these bootleg series, if there was a song that was featured on a different bootleg set, it's not replicated on another set for the most part. They usually pick different tracks to include, so you're not getting repeats a lot of the time. Kind of like that cover there. And a lot of this collection, I guess, was put together with the input of Martin Scorsese as well. And this, I don't know if you've never seen the No Direction Home documentary, it's very good. It just focuses mainly on the early part of his career, from 1959 to 1966. It's been several years since I've watched that documentary. I should watch that again, but if I remember right, it kind of ends with that 1966 concert. Kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger. You kind of want it to keep going, but kind of ends right when he goes electric. So there's that set. And then next up, that was August 2005. So then in October of 2008, we got the Bootleg Series Volume 8. This is Telltale Signs. These are tracks from 1989 to 2006. Not really sure why they didn't release these in chronological order, but you kind of go back and forth between between dates here. Get some early stuff and then some later stuff. Okay, so again, this is a 2 CD set. There's also an expanded 3 CD set. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was exclusive through Bob Dylan's website. You can get that third CD. And I think there might have been a vinyl release of this as well. So this spans the sessions for his Oh Mercy and World Gone Wrong and Time Out of Mind albums. So if you're a fan of that later period in Dylan's career, this is a really good set. I think there's a few Modern Times tracks on here as well. And then there's a few tracks that were featured in different movie soundtrack recordings. So those are on here as well. Yeah, there's that one. And then next up, Volume 9. This is October 2010. This was released. This is the Volume 9, the Witmark demos, 1962 to 1964. So early in Dylan's career, he was working on finding some publishers and things like that. And these are the demos that he recorded for his first two publishing companies. There's Leeds Music he started out with, and then eventually went to the M. Witmark and Sons. And here we have a little advertisement for the original mono recordings, which I also have over my shelf over there. So basically what Dylan did when he signed with these publishing companies, he would go into their office and play some demos of the songs he'd recorded with not really any intention of recording them himself. They were basically, he'd record a demo to give to other people like Peter, Paul, and Mary and artists like that. And then he'd basically get the royalties from it. But you know, a lot of these he did eventually end up recording himself as well. So yeah, since they're just the demos, it's basically this whole 2 CD set, 47 tracks. It's just Dylan with his guitar and harmonica, and here and there he'll have a piano accompaniment too. But this one was just released on the 2 CDs, or else there was also a 4 LP set of this one, if you're looking to get the songs that way. So there we have Volume 9. Just a few more sets left to go. August of 2013, we get Volume 10. This is another self-portrait. If any of you know, there's a Bob Dylan album entitled Self-Portrait, and so this is got some songs from that. It's 1969 to 1971. This picture was actually drawn by Bob Dylan. There's the tracks there. So yeah, this is mostly alternate takes from the Self-Portrait and the New Morning albums. And here we got a advertisement for the complete album collection, again, which I also have on the shelf over there. One thing I liked about this is there's a few songs from the Nashville Skyline album, which is probably my favorite Bob Dylan album. Also is probably his shortest album, but I really enjoy that album. So we'll take a look at the book here. Now, Self-Portrait is probably not one of Bob's best albums. I don't think it was very critically acclaimed. It's probably gotten more praise over the years now, but it's not usually one I go to listen to. So now this one, we got the 2 CD set here, or there was also a 4 CD deluxe box set that completes or contains. There's a complete performance on that set of Bob Dylan with the band at the Isle of Wight concert in 1969. That's included there for the first time. So if you want to hear that whole concert, you can splurge for the 4 CD set, and that would be included there. So again, this is enough music from that period for me. So then we move on to volume 11. This is Bob Dylan and the band, the Basement Tapes Raw. So the 2 CD set is entitled the Basement Tapes Raw. There's actually a bigger collection. I think it's a 6-disc collection. It's called the Basement Tapes Complete. That's got basically everything that the band recorded with Bob for like the Basement Tapes album and things like that. So this is kind of just the best of that collection. I never know which way these open. A quick look at the book here. I don't think any of these tracks ever actually intended to be released, or was it kind of just them jamming in was it at Big Pink? Is that where they recorded most of these? I don't remember. But if you're a fan of Bob Dylan performing with the band, this is really a good collection of songs here. Sorry if I'm flipping through the book a little fast, but the video's getting kind of long, so don't want to keep you too long here. Next up we have volume 12. This is Bob Dylan, 1965 to 1966, the best of the cutting edge. People were saying, you know, Bob Dylan was on the cutting edge of music at this period, when he kind of switched over to the electric. He was really moving forward with his music that way. This is mostly demos and alternate takes from Bringing It All Back Home and Highway 61 and Blonde on Blonde, which is one of my favorite periods of Bob Dylan music. So this is a really good collection if you're also into that period in his career. Just lots of good stuff on here. And now this is one of the earlier ones where they really get into the different versions of this collection. So we have this two disc. You know, this is as the box says here, it's the best of the cutting edge. So this is the best of the bigger collection that was released, which is, there's a 6 CD box set, which, you know, you get this many tracks on 2 CDs, how many are you going to get on 6? But then if that wasn't enough, there's also an 18-disc limited edition box set. That one, again, I believe was only available on Bob Dylan's website. The 18-disc limited collector's edition, and it's got 9 mono vinyl singles along with it. So that's a really big set. I think I've maybe seen one of those in a record store somewhere, but I was too afraid to go look at the price. But again, I'm not that big of a fan where I need basically every take. And yeah, if I remember right, that 18-disc set was pretty much everything he recorded for that period. And here we got a little story here about that cover photo that was taken for the greatest hits? album, which actually won a Grammy for that best album cover. Cover art. So yeah, there's that one. All right, 2 more left. Next up we have volume 13. This is Trouble No More. This is 1979 to 1981. This is mostly, I believe, mostly live stuff. There's a few unreleased songs on here as well, but this basically covers his born again Christian period. You know, it covers the Slow Train Coming, Saved, and Shot of Love albums. He's had so many different periods of music in his career, it's just unbelievable. Oh look, I even kept the hype sticker in there. I'll put that together later. So yeah, this was on again a 2 CD set, and there's a 4 LP set. That's basically everything that's on here. And then there was a 9 disc set with a DVD included. Had some live concert footage. I don't know if there's not a lot of people that really like this period of Dylan's music, but I enjoy it. There you go. All right, the last one. This one was released last year. It's volume 14. Now this is the first time where they've changed it up and they've only got 1 CD. There's no slipcase, no big thick booklet here. So it's 1 CD. It's more blood, more tracks. So this is, let's see. Yeah, the Blood on the Tracks recordings. And you know, there's only 11 songs on this 1 CD. But there is another version that is 6 CDs. So if you want more than just the 11 tracks, I guess you have to jump all the way up to 6 discs. So yeah, when Dylan was recording his songs for the Blood on the Tracks album, he did a lot of the recording in New York. And then they were about to release the album, which I believe that's what this is, the New York recordings, if I remember correctly. But then he went back to Minnesota and kind of reworked some of the songs and re-recorded some things, and that's what eventually became the actual Blood on the Tracks album. So these are just the early New York recordings from September and December of 1974 that you get here. And this was also released at the last record store day on vinyl. So there was a kind of a demo looking album that was released for that. So that pretty much concludes everything from 1991 to 2018 for the Bob Dylan Bootleg Series. So if you're into this kind of unreleased and rare tracks from Bob Dylan, be sure and check out one of these sets, or all of them if you can. They're, as far as I know, pretty much all readily available on Amazon and things like that. Or if you maybe want to try and find some cheaper, you can look on eBay. I'm sure you can find some decent copies there too. So I hope you all enjoyed this. Sorry it got to be so long, but there was a lot to go through there. So take care, everybody, and I'll see you guys on the next video.